Hi folks, and welcome back to another edition of Philosophy Club. As always, we don't assume any prior knowledge on part of our philosophers, but do keep in mind that these videos are aimed at children between 9 and 12. Okay, this time we're going to do some art and philosophy, or as it's otherwise known, aesthetics. So I want to start off with a question. Can a work of art be created by accident? Your answer to this question tells us a lot about what art can mean. To illustrate that question, take for example the picture book Dot. In the picture book, Vashti is frustrated in her art class and she says she can't draw and she slams her paintbrush down on the table. Her teacher picks up the picture and is amazed at the image on the paper. But in Vashti's case, she doesn't mean to create the dot. Or at least she cannot see the dot in the same way that her teacher can see the dot. Vashti's intention is different from her teacher's interpretation. Which brings us to an interesting question in art. Is the intention of the artist important in deciding how we understand a work, and then whether the work of art is good or not? In Vashti's case, she didn't have any intention, or the intention was accidental. So what do you think? If you knew a work of art was created by accident, would it make any difference to how you see it? What if you fell asleep on your keyboard and woke up the next morning with a great novel somehow typed out on your desktop? Would it make any difference to its quality if people knew how you wrote it? For some art theorists, the answer is no, and that the only thing that matters when you look at a work of art are the feelings that the work invokes in you, that your understanding or interpretation matter most. So, I want to test this. Take for example these two paintings. I'm not going to tell you which is which, but one is a famous modernist painting by Mark Rothko and the other is a copy of an original that someone tried to pass off as real and did so convincingly for some time. One is clearly an intentional work, while the other's intention is to mimic Mark Rothko's painting. So now I want you to pick A, which work of art you prefer, and B, which one you think is the real painting, because I haven't told you which one is which yet. Okay, got your choices? If I told you which was which, would it change your mind? Your answer to this might depend on how you answered the earlier questions. What is more important, the artist's intention or how the work of art affects you? I'll tell you which is which at the end of the video. One last point, argued by Noel Carroll, is to think of you and the artists of a work of art in conversation. In conversations, we try and understand each other, what our intentions are, and gauge our response accordingly. You wouldn't come out of a conversation without trying to understand the other person you were talking to. Carroll thinks that understanding art is just like a conversation with the artist. We should try to understand the artist's intentions, but also contribute our own understanding, interpretation, and input into the conversation. Carroll's point is somewhere in between interpretation and understanding. So, what do you think? Can works of art be great by accident? Does the intention of the artist matter? What's the most important factor in deciding what art means and whether it's good or not? Thanks for watching. We'll be back on Thursday with more philosophy for you. Oh, and by the way, this was the real Mark Rothko painting. Did you guess right?